Hello, friends. I have to admit that this feels kind of surreal to me talking to you through a screen rather than in person. I can't speak for anyone else but me, but I tend to feed off of the crowd that I'm talking to, and I try to gauge whether or not they're interested or not, or whether I've hit on something that's piqued their interest by looking at their reactions or their responses. But in this setting, I don't have that luxury, and it just feels kind of strange to me, if I'm being honest. And there's a lot of strange things to me right now. I'm in shock and disbelief that there are school districts that are indefinitely closed. And I'm not sure what that means, closed indefinitely. Just this week, the announcement was made to close restaurants and clubs and bars and certain businesses to prevent large gathering of people, to prevent people from gathering. And I walked past our local Starbucks, as a matter of fact, walking with my family so we can get out and get some exercise the other day. And I was equally as shocked to see that our local Starbucks did not have one single person sitting inside. In fact, there was just a sign on the door that said grab and go only. When you look through the windows, all the furniture had been pushed up to the side so that nobody could sit. It was just very surreal to me. I cannot remember the last time that I walked past a Starbucks and I didn't actually see anybody sitting in there. The grocery stores and certain retail spaces, they have this very apocalyptic feel to them. Empty shelves, people running around trying to gather up what they think they're going to need. And I keep asking myself, you may be doing the same thing, but I keep asking myself, how long is this really going to last? The truth is, nobody knows. If I'm being honest, that's pretty scary. I'm trying my best not to be afraid and not to panic, but that seems to get harder and harder each day as more and more restrictions and more disruptions to my daily routine happen. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk about the fear and the anxiety that comes with the uncertainty of what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. I've had some realizations this week, as well as some things that have been pointed out to me by other people that I thought I would share with you. One of the things that was pointed out to me, the graduating class of 2020, our graduating seniors this year, most of them were born in the year that we had 9/11. A national tragedy and something that affected the entire world. And this year, in 2020, this graduating class is going to graduate when our entire world is going through a pandemic. Now, depending on how long the restrictions and the bans actually last, this group of seniors, they may not have prom. Some of them may not get to participate in things like Steamposium, or if they help at the Special Olympics, or if they participate in the Special Olympics. Some of them may not be able to participate in their band and orchestra competitions and concerts, or if they're in choir, their concerts and competitions. And what about those that play sports, track and field, basketball, any other sport that happens during spring? They're canceled. This group of young adults could potentially miss out on all of these major things during the rest of this school year. But the same holds true for our graduating college students. All the parties and the celebrations to honor and memorialize this milestone accomplishment of graduating from college and getting that degree. If it's more than 25 people, they can't do it, right? And what about graduation itself? Is there going to be a graduation? Is there going to be a graduation ceremony? Some of the questions I've heard our seniors and our youth ask are they going to even be able to graduate? Are they going to have to go to summer school to finish these things up? We don't have answers to those questions right now. And all of this uncertainty is leading to fear and anxiety. I mean, being honest, who can blame them? And the thought of this saddens me. It saddens me because for a lot of these seniors, whether it be our youth or our adult seniors that are graduating college, the things that they are doing this year, this may be the last opportunity that they have to do these ever. And they're missing out. The other thing that really struck me is how many people are dealing with this and they're by themselves, they're alone. And if they're not by themselves or alone, then they don't have a partner to help them, right? How many of you watching this right now are single or living alone? How many of you are a single parent with kids that you are responsible for? I can't imagine how difficult that has to be for you. I mean, I'm blessed, right? I'm blessed because I'm here with my family and I have my wife and my children here in this house with me. And it's hard for us. So it has to be infinitely harder for those of you who are without family or without a partner to help you go through this. Having to deal with the uncertainty of what the future holds can lead to fear and to anxiety. I have someone here that can talk me off the ledge, so to speak, if need be. There's a lot of you who don't. And I can completely understand how this could lead to fear and anxiety. And then I start thinking about the stores and the retail spaces that we rely on for our daily supplies. And I don't know about you, but when I walk through these places and I see empty shelves or I see videos of people that are literally running over each other just to get a loaf of bread or a package of toilet paper, I start to get pretty anxious. And I begin to wonder about how I personally am going to be able to get supplies when we run out here in our home. And I start to think, are the store shelves still going to be empty? Am I even going to be able to get into the store? Are they going to impose restrictions where I have to wait in line in order to just go in and shop? And then when I am in there, am I going to be able to get what I want? Or am I going to be restricted to what they tell me I can have? And then am I even going to be able to get there in the first place, right? I start to think about all these, and then that's all I think about. I begin to just focus on that. And as I do that, I start to feel that fear and that anxiety start to creep in. And if I'm not careful, I can allow it to take root, which is something I don't want. And I could go on, and I could cite all of these different examples about how all of us are battling through this and we're trying to not let fear and anxiety take control. But all of you already know that because all of us are actually going through this. So where this actually hits me the hardest is when I start to think about my sister and my parents. I can't go see them yet, and I don't get to hug them, and I don't get to tell them I love them. And me being a physical person, I miss that physical contact. Do you miss that too? I think about people that are part of a faith community and how we gather during times of crisis, and we do that so that we can comfort one another, but so that we can also have that sense of community so that we're not alone, or so that at least we don't feel like we're alone. And then we get together so that we can pray. But now, right, in this time and situation, we're telling our congregations that we need to distance ourselves from one another, not to gather. That is so opposite of what we as part of a faith community want to do right now. And yet, that is the way that we show love to one another right now. Now, I want to say this, and it may not be in the right order, and it may not be the right time in the video, but here it is anyway. John Wesley said we should do no harm. And gathering together now, during this time, during this pandemic, is going to do more harm than it would good. And the truth is, we need to realize that if only some follow the social distancing guidelines and others choose to just go about their daily routine, regardless, it's going to take us a whole lot longer to get through this. We all really need to do our part and listen to what the experts are telling us. Wash your hands thoroughly, social distance, stay at least 6 feet away from each other when we are gathered together. And remember those who are most at risk and take care of them by not exposing them to anything that could potentially harm them. I cannot stress enough that just because you feel like you are healthy and you aren't showing these symptoms, it doesn't mean that you're not at risk. Okay, back to my main point. I'm sure that you've heard the term social distancing. I've used it at least 3 times in this video, and I hear it during every TV broadcast that is aired lately discussing the COVID-19. So here's my question. Are you tired of hearing it yet? I'm getting there pretty quick myself, but I want to offer this. Social distancing does not mean social isolation. And you can thank my wife, Heather, for that phrase. I said earlier that it hits me hardest because I can't see my sister and my parents, and I can't be with the youth. I can't be there to answer their questions. I can't be there to console them or offer them any sort of guidance. I can't be there with you to take communion, to gather. But just because I can't be there doesn't mean that I'm completely cut off. and you aren't either. I mean, I can still pick up the phone. I can call my sister. I can find out how she's doing. I can pick up the phone. I can call my mom and dad, and I can say, I love you. I miss you. I hope you're okay. I can still reach out to the youth via social media or even with streaming. Find out what's on their mind. I can talk about what's on their mind. You can do the same thing. So I encourage you not to let your home become a prison where fear and anxiety rule your day. Instead, I encourage you to pick up the phone, call the people that you love. If you're more tech savvy, maybe you can initiate a video call. But what I'm getting at is I'm encouraging you to take this time to focus on your relationships, not only with the people that you love, but also your relationship with God. Because the truth is, many of us don't allow ourselves enough time in any given day to really focus on that intentional time to spend on our relationship with God. But that right now is important. So now would be a great time, since we all have time, right? Everyone's going to deal with this differently. Every situation is going to present unique problems that everyone's going to have to overcome. But all of us, and I mean all of us, you, me, your neighbor, people on the other side of the world, we are all connected. We are all connected. And let me tell you how. First, everyone in the world is dealing with this virus. Everyone. Second, we're all human beings. We're part of humanity. But most importantly is we are all children of God. And God loves each and every single one of us. We are all connected. So I encourage you during the days, weeks, and yes, God forbid, maybe even months ahead, to focus on the relationships that you have with the people that you love. Make a call, send a text, an email, but most importantly, my friends, I encourage you to pray. Pray for those that you love, for those in the world who are suffering. For those of you who are dealing with this on your own, please know that you are loved and you are in my prayers. The reality is this: there is the other side of this. We are going to see the other side of this pandemic. What is it going to look like? We don't know. I don't know. What is the new normal going to look like? I don't know that either. For some, I imagine things are probably going to look pretty different. For others, it may look just like it did before COVID-19. But we are all going to get through this, and this is eventually going to pass. So I want to leave you with this thought. I find comfort in Psalm 23, and it's often referred to as the Psalm of David. And I will be reading from the CEB, the Common English Bible translation of this, but this is what it says. The Lord is my shepherd, and I lack nothing. He lets me rest in grassy meadows. He leads me to restful waters, and he keeps me alive. He guides me in proper paths for the sake of his good name. And even when I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they protect me. You set a table for me right in front of my enemies, and you bathe my head in oil. My cup is so full that it spills over. Yes, goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the Lord's house as long as I shall live. My friends, I will be praying for all of you. Please stay healthy until we are able to see each other again.